The exhibition learning project that we've developed recently has been a new approach for us. It has been an opportunity for the learning team at the museum to work really closely with the exhibitions team to develop a project in partnership with the Imperial War Museum.
It was my job, which is a fantastic job, to delve into our art collection, to have a look at what we had, which was kind of themed to do with the Battle of Britain. And we do have a plethora of artworks that could enable us to kind of draw out lots of different themes. And we settled on 3 artworks.
We were very aware that the Battle of Britain anniversary is the moment when people are really interested in our kind of stories and our kind of collections, but that also across the country there are other organisations who have collections which also tell that Battle of Britain story. So we were really on the lookout for people who were interested in engaging with the public around Battle of Britain, had collections that complemented our kind of collections, and also had an aspiration to engage new audiences.
This was a really exciting proposition for us, and we jumped on board really quickly.
To work with organisations like the Imperial War Museum makes you incredibly proud. It reminds you that the stories that we tell are of national and international importance.
Lincoln was kind of top of our list because they have a fantastic own collection of art, but also such an integral link to the Second World War.
And then we realised that things would have to change because of COVID. And I suppose in some ways we got even more excited because suddenly we brought in we had a whole new group of creative collective members from the autumn, from early September.
Hi, my name is Veronica. I am a member of the Creative Collective and I'm a paralegal full-time. I have an interest in art and I'm a creative person, which is why I joined the Creative Collective.
My name is Ying. I'm also part of the Creative Collective for about a year and a half, and I'm a exhibition design graduate.
They work on creative projects that give them experience in producing things that they would be doing when they go on to work in the sector. So whether they want to be artists or whether they want to be museum professionals, it gives them a very good grounding.
So the Creative Collective, we're a group of 16 to 25-year-olds who all have an interest in art and the creative industry. We all meet once a week to discuss different projects we're working on.
It was set up a couple of years ago, and we just really, as teams on site, we wanted to get that younger voice. We wanted to co-produce in a way that would really give the collective a voice on site. Not just to come and be a discussion group, but to have exhibitions, to curate their own interpretation, and exhibitions to decide what we did with our digital. What messages do we put out there in terms of for young people? How do we engage with different audiences?
One of the things we always want to do as well is engage with as wide an audience as possible. And one of the ways you can ensure that you achieve that is by bringing those audiences into that creation process, because who knows better how to talk to young people than young people?
So we were given to work on a curatorial project.
And they would each produce a curatorial response to a work that they selected from a long list that we were going to have for the actual exhibition.
When we realised we couldn't have the on-site exhibition because we couldn't open those galleries, understandably, we were looking for a way to still deliver that quality project that schools and other people, the public via the digital, could get involved with.
Every week the restrictions changed and the circumstances changed, so week on week we were excited to find out what new different path we had to take.
So one of the wonderful things certainly that Lincoln were talking about was around working with that young people's group and how they were going to bring those voices in to bear on these collections and interpret them, but also how they might do that digitally, how they might enable that when they couldn't get in the room with those young people.
We then worked with Paradigm Arts to bring in and work with the collective to showcase sort of cultural practice as well, and filming and digital, and we realised things were going to be moving to the digital.
It was really great to be brought on board with the exhibition learning project, and in our role we provided support for the Creative Collective as they looked to find solutions to the problems that had been thrown up by COVID. Which meant that they weren't able to do a physical exhibition and had to move a lot of their work and thinking into a digital realm.
They decided how they wanted the exhibition to be and created their own web area to do that, and their own podcast. And so it became a project that took on a life of its own, really, and from that point of view, it was very exciting all the way through.
For us, it was a really amazing opportunity for us to look into our collections, look at the works that were originally gifted as part of the War Artists Advisory Committee gift to the regions, and to revisit areas of our collection that were possibly lesser known, possibly people hadn't done much research comparatively into this area.
And some of them actually produced their own artistic responses as well. And these are all kept in an online exhibition on a WordPress site, which has really been quite an achievement.
So I have chosen a artist from Lincolnshire. Her name is Phyllis Shafto, and her works, I think there are 3 to 4 sketches and watercolor named St. Paul Cathedral After the Blitz. So I've chosen her works because of her story.
One artist, a female artist, Phyllis Shafto, some of her illustrations, we didn't have much information about her as an artist. So I think some of the members struggled with that because it's quite frustrating for them. They wanted to know more and went off and tried to do their own research, but it's quite revealing that as a female artist working in that time period, the 30s and 40s, there just wasn't much known about her, and there still isn't.
I think that's like the biggest challenge with the whole project, but we still managed to find a way to have our own like interpretation and response.
The response to not being able to find out any more about Phyllis Shafto was very interesting. So that actually led to a completely different artistic interpretation from one of the group members, Kai Ying Fong. And she produced a radio play where she imagined meeting the artist and getting to ask her a few questions, and it was just absolutely fantastic.
I can understand completely. I also moved to a new city to pursue my career. I've been doing art in London for nearly 10 years, and I've worked for the BBC. Now I'm travelling to my Boston home in Lincolnshire.
Oh, why are you moving back home?
I've been unwell and need to rest. The war is tough. It's also difficult to be recognised as a female artist, but some of my works have been exhibited. It's time now to retreat from the war zone.
The radio drama is basically like I met Phyllis Shafto on a train, and then we have a conversation, and then through the conversation I've sort of like asked her about herself, and then like about the work St. Paul Cathedral After the Blitz. It is really interesting because I'm actually from like an exhibition design background. I usually work on like spatial design and not really other senses out of the visual stuff. So I feel like it started a new journey for me in terms of exhibition design.
And then as we published it in the new year, it became clear that then we were involving other people, Aviation Heritage Lincolnshire Partnership, who, with their knowledge of the Battle of Britain.
Of all of the stories of Lincolnshire's past, the aviation heritage of the 20th century is certainly one that has the most renown both nationally and internationally. The fact that 617 Squadron was based in Lincolnshire, the Dambuster Squadron that we all know from the movies and the importance of that act, to those Spitfires, the Hurricanes, the Lancaster, that you can still see the only flying Lancaster in the country is still based in Lincolnshire.
It is awe-inspiring, and actually I'd not realised till I stood inside the hangar at the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight how awe-inspiring that actually is.
We've been able to contribute little bits of our learning resources to complement what the learning team did, what the creative collective did, and to sort of embellish really what they've done.
When you're passionate about the subject, which we all are, it's just really nice for all the minds to come together. Everybody's coming forward with different ideas, and maybe we can now put some of their ideas into our workshops, and hopefully our ideas into their workshops.
We've never worked with just paintings before. hasn't always been people or places or aeroplanes, but actually it's been really good. I've really enjoyed it, and having to think outside the box and think how we could link in what we know to the whole exhibition has been really good.
I was asked to produce a short talk that was suitable for younger people, and the talk was supposed to be fairly short, and it was to cover the main points of the Battle of Britain. So I did the research onto it, and it was in the middle of the COVID lockdown, which made things a little bit difficult. So I was very fortunate to be able to work with Paradigm Arts, and between us it wasn't possible at the time to actually film on external locations anywhere. So what we managed to do was my son Stuart is a filmmaker, and he actually filmed me delivering the talk in my study at home, and this was then sent to Paradigm Arts, to Rob for editing, and together we put it together as a team, if you want, and it was a great experience, and it was an experience that none of us really expected, and it was brought about by the situation with COVID. But I'm really glad that it worked that way, because it was good to see how professionals work and be able to contribute to this project, which is so great. By June 1940, most of France had been occupied, and British forces had been pushed right back across the Channel.
As a learning team, we're not just doing things as we did before in terms of delivering every day to a school, getting the next school in the day after, and we love that. And that is our day-to-day, joy, really. And we sort of panicked at the start of this project when we couldn't do that on a day-to-day basis. And then what came about by switching to the digital was working with partners like Paradigm Arts and co-producing, so that we could say, well, what do we need as a team to develop? We're clearly not very good at our own filming, so let's get in the experts, let's get some training, let's use our funding to build up our resources, so buying cameras that we're learning how to use, but also commissioning training that will enable us to be more skilled in the future. Also, being able to commission work from poets and drama companies, theatre companies and artists to bring in their side to the learning, which isn't all just about what we can deliver. It's about having, Ruth Pigott-Smith's puppet in there and having the brilliant play by Rhubarb Theatre.
When we come along as drama practitioners, sometimes your enthusiasm can be a little bit frightening to some people, and they're kind of like, oh no, that's not the way we work. But this whole team have been just wonderful, and they've just said yes to everything. So that's just meant that we've been able to try new things and go in different directions.
This project has been a bit of a game changer, I think, for me as learning manager, to see how we've always had projects, small ones with just particular artists in residence and schools, but this has been a truly collaborative partnership project all the way through, with a mixture of some on-site work where we could, but digital, learning about how we film things, how best to do that for our audiences, to engage them. But for me, it's become sort of a bit of a model for how we'll take our projects in the future for the learning team.
It's been really interesting to see how the sector as a whole has adapted because of all of the challenges that we've faced. The fact that the sites are not open, we're not open in 2020 to our usual audiences. We've had to take a lot of our work online. I think personally, what has surprised me about this project has been how adaptable everyone has been, but not in the cliche way. I know a lot of people have been saying that, but genuinely everything that has caused problems, has caused challenges for the group, we have overcome, and we have created a bespoke, unique project that has really got the potential to impact what we do in the future, both sort of within the infrastructure of the Heritage Service, working with the learning team and the exhibitions team more closely, but also thinking about how to engage online audiences in new ways.
I think for me it helped to reflect on where we were going as a learning team over the next few years and to identify what the strengths are and what quality learning projects we do.
I think this collective it's a really progressive collective and a forward-looking way of working with young people on the heritage sector, and I don't think we've seen that very much in the East Midlands, so it's brilliant to see young people at the heart of the work and young people developing it and taking ownership of it and ownership of their own heritage and ownership of their connection to their heritage. So I just think it's a great piece of work, and I'm excited to see how it's shared nationally and across more partners.
It makes life so easy to have such a high quality team. I've been working with this service and this authority for nearly 20 years, and we've seen a lot of change during that time, and I can very honestly say that we have never had such an amazing team as the one that we have now. The creativity, the ideas, the constant drive to be able to evolve and to look at new things and work in different ways, it's just astonishing, and I find it quite humbling in many ways.
It's been a showcase of how we blend the heritage sites and the creative arts as well in a much more combined way, and that is the future for the learning team.